Mr. President in the courtroom. State, are you ready to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's ready.
You may proceed.
For the state, we call Aaron Smith.
Aaron Smith. How am I going to spell Aaron?
A-A-R-O-N, Judge. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this is one of the witnesses we did not have a report for, and we've explained that to the prosecution. And if we can just maybe take a look at their report, they did not provide that in discovery yet.
I'll give you a break between the witness and your cross-examination to look at it. If you could find the report and give it to them while we're doing this.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, I do. Have a seat.
You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, counsel. Detective Smith, good afternoon, sir. Can you state your full legal name, please?
Yep. Aaron Wayne Smith.
And your profession?
I'm a detective with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office
And how long have you been so employed?
for approximately 4 years.
And what are your duties with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office?
I'm currently assigned as a major crimes detective.
Directing your attention to January 13th of 2014, did you have occasion to assist Detective Proctor in the investigation of a homicide which occurred on that day?
Yes, I did.
And what role did you play in this?
All of our squad was called to assist at the scene, and my main role there was as a crime scene detective.
Okay. And did you have conversations with Cobb Movie Theater as far as the video surveillance?
I did. I spoke with the general manager, Tom Peck, who was in charge of the building at that time.
When did you learn that Cobb Movie Theater had video surveillance?
During our investigation that day, shortly after my arrival, I talked with Detective Basone, also of the Sheriff's Office, who had spoken with the manager, who said they did have several cameras throughout the building with video.
And through the course of your investigation, were you able to obtain the original footage or video surveillance from Cobb Theaters?
Yes. During that time frame, we asked them to stop the video recording and to download, as it's all digital video, everything from 12 noon that day to the incident time. And at that point, they had contacted their IT department and started doing that.
And do you have a working knowledge of how these video surveillance cameras work in the movie theater?
I do. There's several different cameras in different areas of the building, some in the Cine Bistro areas, some in the hallways, most of which are motion-activated digital video cameras.
Are they also infrared?
Ones that are in dark areas of the building, such as Cine Bistro, are also infrared, yes.
Okay. And are they motion activated?
Yes, the ones in the Cine Bistro area are motion activated.
Did you, in fact, receive a video of the Theater 10, the lone survivor, which was showing on January 13th of 2014? I think the start time was around 1:20 or so.
Yes, sir, I did. After the video had been copied over on the 15th, I met with the vice president of Cobb's operations and obtained copies on thumb drives of all of those videos.
Okay. Judge, I'd ask the record to reflect that I'm showing what's been marked as State's Exhibit O, I believe, for identification purposes to Mr. Escobar.
Record, Mr. Reflect.
Judge, I just have some voir dire before they introduce it.
All right.
Excuse
You
me.
may proceed.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon, sir.
Detective, you were called out to the scene to assist in this investigation.
Yes, sir.
You were going to assist Detective Proctor.
Yes, sir.
And one of the roles that you assisted Detective Proctor was in gathering these particular videos.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Did you examine the cameras at all there within Theater 10 yourself?
Other than visually, they're fairly high up on a wall. I didn't write down like specific make model information, that if that's what you're asking.
Okay. Do you know how it is that they mechanically operate? Do you know that the speed in which they record?
No, I don't have that information.
Okay. Did you attempt to try to get that information, the speed of which they record?
No, because I'm not familiar with the system on that technical level. I spoke with their IT department and their network administrators to get an overall view of how the system operated.
But did you ever ask them? Tell me the speed.
The speeds of the cameras? No,
Yeah.
sir.
The speed is a pretty important issue, correct?
It depends on what you're trying to find in the video, I suppose. But at the time, for what I was viewing, it did not come up as necessary information.
Well, you're aware, are you not, that if a camera is recording at a particular speed and then you're trying to play that recording at a different speed, it could be a problem as far as accuracy.
I'm sorry, it's a little bit above my technical knowledge, I think, sir. I don't understand exactly what you're asking me.
Well, do you know at what speed you were playing the actual recorded video?
It was played back by an embedded recorder that comes from Cobb when they made the copies.
No, I'm not
so
talking
that I
about that
can't
one. I'm
tell
talking about your recorder. When you got those thumb drives and you played it, at what speed are you playing those recordings?
you. It's going to be whatever speed the computer that you're playing it on defaults to.
Did what software were you using in an effort to play that recorded?
Initially when I viewed the video, it was actually at Cobb's theaters on their DVR monitors that were there.
Hey, I'm talking about later on, because what we're going to be playing here is what you got from the thumb drives. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. What I did with the thumb drives is I made an exact copy of those onto a portable hard drive, and then copied those files onto DVD.
Okay. But you don't know your computer that you're going to be using here today, you don't know at what speed it's playing that recorded video, correct?
That's correct, sir.
And I believe you indicated to me earlier that you're using Windows Media Player, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you try to use any other software in order to play this video other than Windows Media Player?
The only other program I've used to view it would be VLC Media Player.
VLC. Now, just a couple of issues concerning this infrared and this motion detector. Are you familiar with both of those issues?
Generally, sir, yes.
Okay. And motion activated means that a camera is going to only start filming once there is some range of motion, correct?
Correct. Once it senses motion, then it would signal the DVR somehow to actually record for a period of time after that.
Do you know how much motion has to be present in order to activate the video camera to record?
That I do not. I don't know a way to quantify what the motion would be.
Did you ask anyone with Cobb Theater in their technical department to give you that information?
No, sir. They simply told me that it was just activated by motion.
And so when you're recording via motion, there are going to be lapses in the continuation of that film, correct?
There'll be periods of time when the camera does not sense motion that it will not record anything.
And so you're going to have events that are going to be joined in presentation, but not necessarily joined in time, correct?
Correct, sir. When it plays back the information, it plays it in one steady stream, obviously, instead of second by second.
And so the perception could be that this all happened in that time period, but in actuality it didn't.
There's an embedded timer that plays on the screen to let you know, in relevance to the machine's clock, what the time frame is, but correct, it doesn't, like I said, it does play one smooth motion through. It doesn't stop at the end of each clip that was captured, if you will.
And you were told that the time stamps on those particular cameras had some problems.
We were informed by the Cobb tech, the system administrator, that the times between some of the DVRs didn't match, and the reason that was relevant because not all of the cameras are on one single DVR, because the number of cameras around the building, they're split between multiple machines.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, do we have a moment?
Oh.
Yes.
Your Honor, approach. Detective, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit Number 4 and ask you if you recognize that exhibit.
Yes, sir. If I could open the box to look at it, it appears to be the drive that your office had given to me to ask for copies.
Please,
of
would
the
you?
clips. Yes, sir. does appear to be a drive of the same make and model as the one that your office had dropped off here for the copies, and the ones that I copied my video clips over to.
Okay, and so what you're telling me today is that the clips that you were just talking about on direct examination, you used that Seagate external drive to copy that information onto that drive?
Yes, sir. I used the external drive that I copied the original thumb drives onto to then make the same copy onto that drive there.
Okay. In order for us to have a complete and full and accurate copy of what you had?
Of all the video I had at that time, yes, sir.
And then you handed, or Mr. Garcia handed this to me in court, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Once the copying was complete, I dropped it off at his office for him.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, now, if that was what you were seeking to do.
Judge, with the court's permission, I'd like to enter what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit O for identification into evidence as State's Exhibit number 7.
All right. Any objection other than what was previously stated?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, shall be admitted as stated 7.
And likewise, Judge, with the court's permission, I'd like to play it.
Okay, you know how to do that?
Thank you, Mr.
You need him.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
You can
Can I
step
step
down,
down,
sir.
sir?
It's a D, not an O.
Corrected, Judge. I indicated to the court it was State's Exhibit O. It's State's Exhibit D for the
Okay.
record.
When you play this, it's going to appear on that screen?
Yes, sir. I'm going to turn the monitor on here.
Your Honor, I would not be opposed to turning down the light. I think it would give us a better view of the video. We would certainly encourage that.
That's fine. Is there somebody that can accomplish that task?
Probably those
Are
front
you looking
lights.
for those backlights there? There you go. There's no sound to this video, is that correct?
Correct, sir. It's video only, no audio.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach you a little bit?
You may. Feel free to move wherever you need to get the best view. All right, should we bring the house lights up? Or is it for the video? Is it for the video you intend to play?
That is all.
That's what's on that.
I was given, sir.
Okay. Do you have any further questions for this witness?
Yes, Judge.
You
May
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 proceed.
it please the court, counsel. Detective Smith, if you would, please, can you share with us, do you know the height difference between row B and row A?
It's approximately 10 inches between each floor height. There's 2 steps in between each one that are about 5 inches each.
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions of Detective Smith, Judge.
All right. Mr. Escobar, do you require this witness?
I do. Detective, when you were given this assignment to go and search out this video, were you told by Detective Proctor to be looking for, possibly a cell phone hitting Mr. Reeves aside the head?
When I first received the video, we just asked Cobb to give us snippets of any cameras that covered that angle. I have not done anything to try to enhance the video or to examine any further different items in it at this point.
Is then your answer that no, Detective Proctor never asked you to try to look at the video for evidence of a phone coming across the video area?
He asked me to review it for evidence of how the event occurred. He did not specifically ask me to look for a phone, no.
Okay. And so I would imagine one of the things that you would have found to be very helpful would have been a program that would have allowed you to capture frame by frame that event, correct?
No, sir. At our level, we would probably have a certified lab or somebody that's more qualified to enhance the video, things like that, because...
I'm not talking about enhancing. I'm just
Yes,
talking
sir.
about frame by frame playing of that video.
Yes, sir. And at my job description level, I guess you would call it, I don't have access to software that does that.
You may not have access, but my question was, you would have liked to have done that to be able to see frame by frame, correct?
No, sir. It has not come up so far in the investigation.
You would not have liked to have a frame by frame viewing of that video?
We watched the video as the incident occurred to see what's there. You can pause it at different places and look to analyze different things that you're looking at. The digital video, however, is not in a frame format, I guess is the most correct answer. It plays straight through. It's not like traditional film where you have individual frames.
I understand that, but my question was simply, would you have liked to have had a frame by frame viewing of the video so that you could see it as best as you could?
At this point, with my ability to pause it on the computer and rewind and fast forward to where I want to see, then no, sir, I haven't seen any benefit to doing it that way as opposed to just watching it on the media player.
Now, you indicated that you could stop it at
Yes,
certain
sir.
frames, correct?
You can stop it at any point in time during the video, not on a frame per se, because the frame doesn't exist, I guess.
Okay, well, you could have stopped it at second marker 24,
Yes, sir.
and second marker 25,
Yes, sir.
and second marker 26,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Correct.
Did you do that?
Yes, at many different times. I've watched the video multiple times and paused it and started again and rewound to look at different sections of the video, yes.
Now, in addition to that video, you indicated that, I guess you went and examined the area of the incident?
Yes, sir. As crime scene detective, my general responsibility would be to just confer with the forensic investigators that are taking measurements, collecting evidence, photographing, help direct different things just to make sure, certain things are documented and just to have an overall awareness of the items that are in the scene.
And were you able to see a phone in the area of the incident?
Yes, sir, I did.
And that phone was actually in row A, was it not?
It was in the very top row of the theater. Unfortunately, the theater does not designate row letters, numbers, or seat numbers, but it would be in the very top row next to the Cinebistro wall.
And that top row would be the one that the seats have a 6-foot wall behind it.
Correct, sir.
And that would have been the same seat that Mr. Reeves was seated.
In that same row, yes, sir.
And you saw the actual phone on the floor of that same seat, Mr. Reeves' seat.
So the phone was on the floor in front of that row. At that point in time, when I saw it, I couldn't have told you exactly which seat Mr. Reeves was in.
Well, what about today?
At this point, since there's no numbered seats, I can tell you where the phone was seen in our scene. I don't know which, again, there's no designation of row and seat number, so I can't tell you, I guess, a designator of which seat it was. No, sir.
What was important to you, was it not to determine whether that phone was in front of, or the floorboard in front of Mr. Reeves, correct?
Through the witnesses' descriptions that were there, we felt it was probably within one seat, one way or the other of the area, but I was not aware at that time of which exact seat he was in.
You didn't touch the phone.
No, sir.
You made sure that your group preserved the phone.
Yes, sir. It's typical at any crime scene. Things were photographed and measured before they were collected, and then they were collected as evidence.
And your collection methods is in an effort to preserve that phone for all sorts of evidence that may be on it.
Yes, sir.
DNA, fingerprints, what have you, correct?
Anything we may attempt to gather in the future, yes, sir.
And certainly if that phone was thrown by Mr. Oulson at Mr. Reeves' head, you would want to preserve anything on that phone for evidence of it striking Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. At the time we collect from a crime scene, we preserve it because we don't know what type of evidence might be on it, so we try to preserve everything we can for any future analysis, yes.
Now, there at the scene, were you given information concerning witness descriptions of what had taken place during the incident?
Yes, sir.
And you were told that, in fact, there was an allegation that Mr. Reeves was throwing something Mr. Oulson was throwing something at Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. The allegation I was aware of at that time was that he had thrown a bag full of popcorn.
Well, what was the allegation concerning the phone?
There was none. At the time the phone was found on the floor, we did not know who the owner of it was. We did not know if it belonged to Mr. Reeves, Mr. Oulson, or any of the other patrons that might have been there.
And so you didn't even know that there was an allegation by Mr. Reeves that Mr. Oulson had struck him on the head with a phone?
I was made aware that he was alleged he had been struck by something, and that witnesses had said they saw a bag of popcorn thrown. And that was
Had you been told that the allegation was that specifically he had been struck by a phone?
No, sir.
Judge, I would object to the characterization in that question. And again, Judge, I would remind the court, you heard the audio tape of Mr. Reeves. He says he may have been hit with a fist. He may have been hit with a phone. He doesn't know. So to state that he was hit with a phone is a mischaracterization of his taped interview. The last thing he said was he didn't know.
Overruled as to those objections, I'll use my own recollection as to what the evidence is. You may continue, Mr. Escobar.
Did you do anything there at the scene to determine whether that phone had a screen light where when you touched it, it lit up?
No, sir. At that time, it was just simply collected and bagged, and the power button on the top of the phone was turned off. We didn't do any...
Why did you turn the power button on the phone off?
That's one of our steps in preserving electronic evidence, because there are many applications out there that can interfere with, say, a phone that may be locked or remotely wiped of information, things like that. So we shut it off so that things like that can't happen, and to preserve any of the electronic media that may be on it.
When you shut that phone off and you touched it, did the light go on?
No, sir. The light, just being generally familiar with that model of phone, with the iPhone, when you push the button on the top that's not part of the screen, you'll get I believe the Apple logo comes on, but I'm not the one that turned it off myself, so I can't tell you for sure what it displays when it turns off.
Okay. And so your experience with those phones is that the screen will light up when you touch the screen?
If you touch the screen, or actually no, sir, if the screen is not on, it will not light up if you touch the screen, only if you push what they call the home button or the circular button at the bottom, or the button on the top of the phone, I believe.
Okay. Do you know what model of iPhone that was?
I do not, sir. It was an Apple iPhone, but I don't know which designator it was at that point.
Do you know what the weight of that phone was?
No, sir, I don't.
And do you know the size of that phone?
No, sir. One
other question about the video that I think is somewhat important. The video appears to have some light to it, meaning it's not, doesn't appear to have that dark theater atmosphere. Is that correct?
As far as background lighting, you mean, sir?
Yeah, it looks, you know, everything looks bright. It doesn't look like a dark theater. Is that because of the infrared night vision that it has?
It's a combination of the light that's available, sir, because the inside the theater, the lighting is never completely off. They have the can lights in the ceiling that are on, but yes, also the infrared helps brighten up the image.
Because that infrared is almost equivalent to that night vision that many cameras possess, correct?
I guess it depends on the type of camera, sir, but it's projected infrared light from the cameras or from other sources that the lens can recognize that the human eye doesn't typically see.
So you can't tell this court here that what you're seeing in the form of light on that video is, by any stretch of the imagination, accurate?
It is accurate to the video, sir, not necessarily visible to the naked human eye at the time.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. State, do you have any redirect for this
Just
witness?
one question, Judge. Detective Smith, there appears to be particles floating in the air on the video. Do you know what those particles were?
Yes, sir. I spoke with the Cobb technicians, and also after viewing the video, feel it was dust that was on top of the camera. When the shot was fired, the concussion inside the enclosed room just caused the dust to fly in the air.
So essentially, those are just dust particles that you see throughout the video? Then?
Yes, sir. Dust that was dislodged after the
Okay.
shot was fired.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you, sir.
Yours, please.
Your Honor, we'd like to reserve our right to recall him on
All right, Detective Smith, don't leave the building, okay? All right. State, do you have any further witnesses you want the court to hear from in this bond hearing?
No, sir.
All right. Is the victim going to make a statement today? Mr. Rinaldi?
No.
No statement?
No.
Okay. Do you wish to call any rebuttal witnesses in the
Your
bond
Honor,
hearing?
we have a couple things. Number one, we want the autopsy of Mr. Oulson introduced into evidence.
Do you have any objections, State?
I do, Judge.
Okay. Do you have a witness that you're going to call for the autopsy to be introduced?
Your Honor, as a court, we just got this voluminous discovery, and we have not. We just spoke to our expert last night concerning certain aspects of this. This is an Arthur hearing where hearsay is allowed. It's also a bond hearing where the rules of evidence are relaxed.
Absolutely, but don't I need a witness for this?
I don't believe you do, Your Honor. I believe that under an Arthur hearing, just like they had a out-of-court hearsay affidavit with numerous witnesses saying numerous things in that affidavit at the initial hearing, and they used that in the Arthur hearing to show presumption grade proof evident, we have the ability as well. This is the government's medical examiner that actually authored this particular report. And it's an important report because it suggests, Your Honor, that the victim.
Wait, don't tell me that yet. Let's stay with whether I'm going to admit it before you try to tell me what's in it. The copy that you have, is there an affidavit of authenticity that came with it?
It's actually signed, Your Honor, by the medical examiner in the very front, and it talks about his actual findings.
All right. Now, if you are going to introduce that, you're going to introduce that for me to review it without the assistance of any interpretation by any witness. That's what you
Absolutely.
want.
It's self-explanatory, Your Honor.
Okay. State, do you have any objection to me receiving the autopsy report authored by the medical examiner of the 6th Judicial Circuit, or one of the assistant medical examiners?
No, I don't have an objection to that, Judge. I do have an objection to Mr. Escobar making arguments based upon the autopsy because you would need an expert in order to give these findings, Judge, and explain the findings.
All right, well, it's one thing to introduce it, it's another thing that the argument that's going to flow from it. As far as autopsies and autopsy reports, I've seen a lot of them. So if he's going to be arguing to me, I understand what's conclusion and what's the facts set out in the autopsy. Is it your intention to tell me that I should draw some conclusions that I need a medical examiner to explain to me, or you just want me to read the report and take the words on the page?
Take the words on the page.
You want the words on the page. Is there any reason I shouldn't read the words on the page, Mr. Garcia?
No, sir.
All right, I'll accept it into evidence as defense or on 3 for the, 4 for the defense, right? 5? 5, you haven't moved the Seagate in yet.
It may, Your Honor, at some point in time. It may.
Well, then this is 4, and it's in line, it'll be 5 if it gets in,
Your
all
Honor,
right?
we would introduce the medical, excuse me, let me show it to him, make sure
I
that.
have.
You got it?
You good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me read it. This will be now 4 in evidence, give you a minute to review it, and then, are you gonna have any witnesses you're gonna wanna call?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay.
And we're gonna need to set up maybe 3, we've got all of our equipment there, we just gotta bring it forward, and my witness is outside.
All right, we'll start getting it set up, get your witness on deck, and let me read this. State, is there any personal information that needs to be redacted here? Victim's representatives present, why don't you let Mr. Grimaldi take a look at it, see if there's any personal information he wants redacted. I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me immediately, but my expectation is that given the medical nature of it, there may be.
Just so the court knows,
Yeah.
that gentleman helping Mr. Escobar set up is the next witness.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Judge, we would ask that any personal information about Mr. Oulson be redacted from the autopsy report.
All right, what I'll do is I'll introduce 2 autopsy reports. I'll put one in as Defense Exhibit 4, and that will be redacted. And then I'll put an original copy in. I'll order that to be sealed, and I'll call it Court's Exhibit 1. If you could please highlight on yours what you want redacted specifically, then before anybody else gets their hands on it, I'll consult with Mr. Escobar and we'll see what needs to be redacted. Perhaps y'all could agree, and then we'll mark one and seal the other.
Judge, I know that you are reading the autopsy report, but one of the issues that we need to address is that the state of Florida has never had an opportunity to view this video. I think, just as the defense has had opportunities to view videos, I think we should be likewise given a courtesy to view this, to see what's being presented.
Any reason they shouldn't get to see it also?
Judge, it's their hard drive, but I'm fine with that. We didn't take video from any other source. We took it from this hard drive that they downloaded the video, and it's actually the same left side that, but I'll be more than glad to play for them. If we want to do it, quickly, we can do it right up there.
I'm thinking they're probably going to want to see it in private before it's viewed by everyone. I'm thinking the only way that's going to happen is if I clear this room. So it sounds like we're going to take our 10-minute recess.
Your Honor, we can also take the laptop and bring it to Your Honor. We can do it that way as well. It doesn't have to be...
I don't need to see it first. They want to see it first.
Whatever the court's pleasure.
We don't mind looking at off the laptop, Judge.
Is it the same on the laptop as it is on the HD projector?
Mm-hmm.
All right, just show it to them on the laptop. You can come up and see it up here.
Do you need these?
How long do you anticipate this witness will take?
Your Honor, not long at all. I'd say 20, 25 minutes.
Okay, good.
Judge, Mr. Grimaldi come up as well.
That's
So this is what you're planning, or what is he
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, just same thing your guy did. He from this hard drive, he made these discs. From these discs, he put it on his computer.
How do we know those discs are the same?
Because he's going to testify to that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Cell phone on. Is it on? We want to create feedback.
If you had turned it completely off.
Yeah, you can turn it further off. Stop that.
Yeah, put it completely off.
As long as it's anywhere near the system, it creates feedback. I'm not sure what it's all about.
There. Thank you. It's off.
It's just, I still hear the feedback, so I'm guessing there's got to be a phone on. See how it goes around.
Mine's off.
On, you're off, yours off today? She said it's yours off. Somebody's got a phone that's on, I think, so it's around one of the microphones, because it's creating that little feedback that you hear sometimes.
Ever since they played the audio, that buzz
Is that
when he started with the,
You can take your seat.
You all ready?
Yeah, yes, sir. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just checking because I don't hear some this was.
That was what I thought.
Yeah, this was what I thought.
Maybe it's something on the box. Why don't you look at it? Thank you. There it goes.
Still?
Yeah,
Not-
better. Much better. All right. Okay, State, you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right. You know what, I just want to sort of say, and I'm ready for it.
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
You may inquire.
Please state your full name for the record.
Nicholas Sacco.
And Mr. Sacco, tell us a little bit about your educational background.
I went to school for general business at University of South Florida. Graduated in 2007, and then do you want
Employment?
employment?
Yes.
I work for currently Trial Exhibits. It's in Tampa, Florida.
What is Trial Exhibits?
It's a trial consulting company. We do mainly electronic portions of trials. We'll do video editing, we'll do animations, we'll do medical illustrations and the like.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
I've been with them for the past 2 years, and I worked with them previously for about a year before that, and then did some freelance on my own.
I'm going to show you, may I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit. This would be, I think,
Now it's five.
Five. And ask you to take a look at that exhibit and see if you recognize it.
Yes, I do.
What is that an exhibit of?
This is the hard drive that I received from your office, which had the files from the state attorney's office.
Okay. And can you tell me what it is that you did with that particular exhibit once you received it?
Once I received it, I opened the package, and I hooked it up to my computer as I would the other hard drive.
And what was the purpose of hooking it up to your computer?
To get the file, the appropriate file that would have the video that we're looking at today.
Okay. And can you tell me what file you searched and what file you found within that hard drive?
Within that hard drive, I found what was called Theater 10 Left Side. It was within the Cobb Theater video files underneath the subcategory Cobb Full Video.
Okay. And what did you do once you found that particular file?
Once I located the file, it's an EXE file, which means it's an auto-executable. I opened that And what it does is within Windows, it creates it finds the video file that's within that, and it saves it to the Windows temporary folder.
Okay, and did you do that? Did it save that particular file to a
Yes.
Windows temporary folder?
I did.
And in what computer did it save that file?
In this one right here.
Okay. And so once it was saved in that computer, tell me what your next step was.
The next step from there, I took that AVI file that it was within that executable, and I converted that to an MP4, which then allows me to make the clips that I needed for
This process that you're doing in downloading and then converting, does that in any way alter the video that we're about to look at here in the next few minutes?
No, it does not.
Okay. And so once you were able to do that, tell me what your next step in the process was.
The next step in the process, I brought it into my video editing program, which allowed me to take the one point in time to another portion in time in the video and make the appropriate clips that I needed to.
Okay, and so you were going to preserve the entirety of that particular clip as well as try to have individual clips of an event?
Yes.
Okay. And does that process in any way alter the video itself?
No, it does not.
Okay. You're just viewing clip by clip in one of these particular segments, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was your next step?
From there, I brought it into a video player program, which I knew allowed me to be able to step through the available frames, as well as loop the segment that I have.
Now, you were under the understanding that it was being viewed by the government under just the regular Windows Media Player, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and did you try to view it in that particular player versus the player that you just discussed?
I did.
Okay, and when you viewed it under the Windows Media Player, was it the exact same video that you viewed on this other program?
Well, in fact, when I initially opened it through the default player, it was like a black and white. It looked different from the one we received as the other video.
If I may, I would like to have an opportunity to voir dire this witness.
All right, I'm going to let him finish trying to put in his foundation first. Once he's finished his foundation, when he goes to proffer, I'll allow you to voir dire.
Let's explain to the court the differences in the viewing of that video in a Windows Media Player versus the software that you chose to use.
My knowledge told me that it was playing it improperly. When I played it in the other, which is actually Windows Media Player Classic, it played it identical to the other video that we have received.
Okay, and so initially you played it on the Windows Media Player that was provided within the hard drive itself.
Correct.
Then you played it within the Windows Media Player Classic, which is same company, just an upgraded version of it?
Yes, it has usually different codecs that will play more different types of files.
Okay, and then you viewed that Windows Media's Classic with the video software that you used, and they were identical.
Correct.
Okay. And the only difference between the non-classic and the software that you used was just a clarity issue.
It was playing it properly, and I could see that it was now working.
Okay. Now, in addition to that process, did you do anything else in reference to, and I'm going to show you if I can approach it on it.
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit number 6. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit number 6, and tell me if you recognize that composite exhibit.
Yes.
What is that composite exhibit?
These are the copies of the discs that I had made. After I made the clips and made the files, I burnt them onto discs.
Okay. And did you get to view those as compared to the downloaded ones that you had in the computer?
Yes.
And were they one and the same?
Yes, they are identical.
I believe that you had an opportunity also to view a disc that was provided by the state attorney's office. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you compare that particular disc? We're going to mark this, but we're going to have to be very careful how we mark it as defense exhibit number 7.
You have a sleeve for it?
We have that sleeve on. But if we can, I can.
I got extra sleeves in my office. Actually, we have a tech person here. Do we have extra sleeves that we could secure?
I can also mark it.
No, let's not write on it. We'll get a sleeve.
Okay.
All right? Sleeve will be here in a minute. So that's the one that's going to become 7?
7.
Okay. I don't think you have to wait for the sleeve.
Okay.
Yeah.
In reviewing this particular, which will be number 7, defense exhibit number 7, did you compare that particular disc to the other discs and the hard drive that you had downloaded?
Yes.
Were they all one and the same video?
Yes, for the most part. This one was, it appeared that it was screen captured, which again wouldn't do anything different. It would just be a different approach to getting the video playable in a different media player.
Okay. I tend to the witness.
Okay.
Okay, please, the court, Judge. Counsel. Is it Mr. Sago? Am I pronouncing that correct?
Sacco.
I'm sorry?
It's Sacco.
Sacco, can you spell that for me, please?
Sacco.
Sacco, okay. Thank you, Mr. Sacco. You indicated that you have a general business degree from the University of South Florida,
Correct.
and you said you graduated there in 2007.
That's correct.
Do you have any formalized training in computer forensics?
No.
Have you ever attended any type of computer forensic classes?
No.
Do you have a degree in computer forensics?
I do not.
Do you have a master's degree in computer forensics?
No.
Do you have a PhD?
No.
Have you ever taught in the field of computer forensics?
I have not.
Have you ever been published in the field?
No.
Have you ever been qualified in the state of Florida as an expert in computer forensics?
No, I have not.
Have you ever been qualified in any other state other than Florida as a expert in computer forensics?
No.
What training and education do you feel that you have to come in here and testify as to these videos and whether or not they're playing properly or not?
Just that it's an identical copy from one to the other, and that all that was done was literally just taking out the segments and the portions that we are looking at today.
Okay, but did you not testify earlier that my knowledge told me that one of the videos was playing improperly?
Yes.
What is that based on?
That's just based on my experience in dealing with video and
Oh, okay, but what experience do you have that would allow you to come in here and comment on these things? I'm sorry.
just general experience with working with video.
But what do you mean by general experience? Tell us about it.
Well, video is something that I work with, not on a daily basis, but, it's a secondary part of my job.
So you would agree with me that you're not an expert in computer forensics?
That's true.
And you've had no formalized training in computer forensics?
No.
So again, maybe I'm missing something. Tell us here what in your background would allow you to come in here and testify about these videos and whether they're playing properly or improperly.
Just that, well, one video that I had to compare to was this one here, as well as this when it was played from its default player, played it one way, and I knew that when it opened in the default Windows Media Player that it looked different to me.
Okay, but just because it looks different, does that mean that it's not playing properly?
No, that doesn't mean that.
So how is it that you're basing an opinion, or you're rendering an opinion to this court that one of the videos was playing improperly? I want to know, based upon what, are you telling Judge Siracusa
The gentleman objected is raising his voice.
Overruled is just, okay, keep going.
that video was playing improperly? And I apologize, I didn't mean to raise my voice at you, but what is it in your background or your training that you're relying upon to tell this judge that video is playing improperly?
Just past experience, nothing
Okay,
in
but you keep
particular.
saying
Maybe
that.
not. Well,
Tell me what that past experience is. Share with all of us what that past experience is.
just playing a video and knowing that it's not. Something looks wrong about it. When you play a movie, for example.
Well, I mean, is there anything other than you play a movie and it appears that it's not playing properly? What
No,
in
that's
your
pretty much it.
education and training are you basing this opinion on?
Dealing with many different file types and trying to open them and convert them to different files.
Okay, you would agree with me, would you not, that any person that opens files and tries to transfer files could do exactly what you're doing? Correct?
Yes, I agree.
Right?
Yes.
So you're not claiming to be an expert in computer forensics?
No, I'm not.
Judge, I'm going to object to his testimony. I don't see how he's qualified to start testifying as to this video is playing improperly. He has no formal background, no formal training. He has a general business degree from the University of South Florida. He doesn't have any degrees in computer forensics. He doesn't have a master's degree, a PhD. He's never taught, never been an expert. I'm objecting, Judge. He's not qualified to render an opinion to this court.
All right, response?
Yes, Your Honor. He doesn't have to be a computer forensics because he's not changing the video at all. All he's doing is copying the video, and then he has taken out a segment of that video and he's isolated that segment. That is all he's done. He hasn't changed the video itself. He hasn't enhanced the video itself. It's merely a copying of that video and using a different software that allows him to segment that particular section. And when the court sees it, you'll see it's the exact same video, not altered in any way, but he's able to segment a very important section of that video for the defense.
All right.
Judge, may I respond briefly? He indicated that he changed one of the videos to an MP4. He is changing formats.
Yeah.
They're going to want this court to rely upon this witness's testimony as to these videos when clearly he's not qualified to. And he's going to say, well, this was playing improperly.
We already said that.
Judge, I'm asking this court to deny his testimony, Judge. He is anywhere near of being an expert in computer forensics. If you're going to have somebody to come in here and start talking about videos and whether they're playing properly or not playing properly and whether they were downloaded properly, you need somebody that's qualified, and clearly Mr. Sacco is not.
Well, if I'm hearing you correctly, Mr. Escobar, you're not asking me to treat him as an expert, right?
Absolutely not.
So you don't want me to take into consideration his opinion on the video?
No, he's not going to give an opinion on the video.
Oh, he said it was playing improperly.
Well, and that's why he used another software, because that software gave it a clear view, and that software actually allowed him to segment a certain section that you can actually even see in the government's disc, but not as clearly, because they were using an outdated media player. In fact, his testimony was very clear. If you had used the Media Player Classic, which was an upgraded media player, you would have been able to see the same thing that he is showing in his software. That was his testimony.
All right, well, let's back it up and cut through the use of the word. When you say improperly, you just mean that it wasn't the most efficient way to view it?
Correct.
Improperly doesn't mean that it was wrong or bad, just it wasn't optimal, right?
Well, it didn't appear to be playing the file as it is intended.
As intended? All right. Could you see it more clearly in the other file that you transferred it to?
I think clearly is a bad word, and I don't feel.
I don't know, because I haven't seen it yet. Y'all have, I haven't.
Judge, again, I reiterate, he is not qualified to render these opinions and give this testimony.
I'm not concerned as much with his opinion. I'm not going to consider that. I think Mr. Escobar wants me to consider the video. Is there a reason I shouldn't see the video?
Yes, Judge, because he is downloading and changing formats that this witness is indicating it's better. Better to whom? Is the question, Judge. Like I said, he's not an expert witness. So why would the court rely upon him testifying, well, it's better in this format as opposed to this format?
All right, well, we've been going for an hour, so what I'm thinking I'm going to do is take a break, and I'll let you each give me a pitch as to why I should or shouldn't see it in the format that it's set versus the format that we originally watched it in, because I don't know why that format's any better than this format, and I'm going to go see if there's any what Professor Earhart has to say about this. So we'll take a 10-minute recess.
All right.